All right, you want to fight crime? Let's get dangerous.
And yes, it is. It is showtime once again here. Welcome to another edition of From the Desk of a Small Press Publisher. I'm your host, Joe D. McPhee here. And we got what I consider going to be probably a rather short show because it's going to be more or less just a general discussion about a couple of things and comic book pickups here. But nevertheless, we got a lot of things to kind of sort of talk about within the next hour. So let's get ourselves together, sit back, get some drinks, and have us a good time here. So with that being stated here, let's go ahead and get some of the business stuff out of the way here, such as Stupid O'Clock happening 1 hour into this show. If we go beyond our 1 hour time limit for this one, it may go past that, it may not. I'm not certain, depending on a couple of things here. Then that is going to be followed up by Last Man Standing, and then you get a little bit of a respite until Monday when we have Nicholas Tucker and Nevermind the Furthermore on Monday morning here. And don't forget about our favorite show here, Comic Book Spectrum, that's right here on this YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here, where we have myself, Elaine, and Cliff all together once again. And I kind of sort of apologize for the whole Wonder Woman talk that we had towards the tail end here, but again, I was like, I have to say sorry, not sorry, because again, when we get into like Wonder Woman lore and what is canon and what is not canon, it does get very confusing, and we have to get everybody on the same page here. And that goes, you know, in depth to the book that I was trying to review on this past week. However, we're going to revisit that again this week here, but we're going to also have some other topics as well here. So with that being stated here, we got the business end out here. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give a couple more minutes here before we get started with most people's favorite part of the show, which is new comic book pickups for the week here. I do have another stack of books that came in, and we're getting closer and closer to C2E2. So I think, keeping my fingers crossed, next weekend I might show previews of the newer stuff that's coming out from the CGC Studios that's going to be ready for C2E2 on the following weekend. And yes, I'm still planning to do a show, at least from the Desk of Small Press Publishers Saturday. On that Saturday, the Saturday of C2E2, I should be back in enough time to do a 9 o'clock show here. If not, it'll probably be a little bit later, maybe 10 o'clock Central. But there will be one to do kind of like a mid-convention update and a couple of things that I've seen and a couple of things that I heard during my time at C2E2 here at, working the booth and, being able to walk around and everything. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and hit it because we got some people watching now. So now we're going to officially do new comic book pickups for the week. We're going to start out with Sisterhood of the Steel issue number 2. So this is going to be another one of those series that I'm probably going to end up starting to pick up here just to see, if I truly like it or not. I believe I have issue number 1. I kind of browsed through it. It's like, it's interesting enough here to try to work my way through that as well. So that's going to get followed up by another new series that I'm trying to give some shine here, and that is Rima the Jungle Girl. So I got another issue number 1, issue 2. I got 2 copies of issue number 4 and a issue number 5. I believe this series ran only 7 issues here, so that's going to be a very interesting read once I have all 7 of them. Then we're going to follow up with some more Nearer X books here. I believe I have this stuff out of order, so let me go ahead and do it this way. So now we got 2 copies of issue number 1. Yeah, there's 2 copies of issue number 1. I think one is more of a foil or is a variant, because this one feels like this one is more embossed and this one is just flat, or it could be just the way the bag is. But we got 2 issue number 1s from volume 1, issue number 2 from volume 1, issue number 3 from volume 1, issue number 4. And then this is, I believe, from the Heat Wave series of Nearer X, which is the chromium cover here. And then here's something that is very, if I could say, very niche here, but it's a good little pickup here. This is a signed Dan Parent variant cover of a facsimile of Betty and Veronica number 40. This one kind of spoofs the Savage She-Hulk number 1 cover. And as you can see, it is signed by Dan Parent, and it did come with a COA. So I was able to get that over this last couple of weeks here. Now I'm happy now because I finally got a complete run, and which finalized that I have all issues now, because I just went ahead and sprung for the full run of it instead of trying to find it piecemeal again, issue by issue. I now have a full run of Ultimate Power. And for those who know me, I am a big fan of Squadron Supreme, so that's the reason why I picked up Ultimate Power here. So we got issue 1 of Ultimate Power, issue 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and issue number 9. So that is the full set of Ultimate Power, which is a good pickup if I do ask myself. Then we got 2 issues from volume 1 of Spider-Woman. These are extras. So we got another copy of issue number 29 with a Spider-Man appearance here. And then issue number 23. So we got those 2 from volume 1. And like I said, those are extra. And then I got the magazine size of University Squared here. And for those who don't know about University Squared, this is one of those graphic novel, magazine size graphic novels for Liberty Meadows here. So this is talking about Frank Cho in his college years and everything. So if you're not a fan of Liberty Meadows, you probably won't be into this as much. But it is kind of a niche little bit of story here. And I kind of like how, he did Liberty Meadows. So it was a good pickup on my part as far as I'm concerned here. And then this is kind of like one of those pickups that I have to kind of like give myself a pat on the back, because for the low price of $50, I got 8 Chili number 1, which is in very, very great condition here. Very little spine ticks and everything. The only thing that have to be done here is just clean it up a little bit, press it out, and send it on. It looks like it could get maybe like an 8, somewhere between, I would say, 7.0 to like an 8.5. So it was a very good purchase in that aspect here. Then we got Uncanny X-Men 24, which completes, which is the missing piece of, I believe it's volume 3. And if you was with me here last week, I showed you the actual comic strip version of Friday Foster. Now I have the one and only issue comic book series run of Friday Foster. This is the Dell 15-cent comic version here. It's not in the best of shape here. You could do a little bit of cleaning up and everything to that magnitude. It's probably about like a somewhere between like a 5-6 copy of it, but it is a Friday Foster #1. We're going to also follow that up with 2 books that brings me closer to having all of the first volume of Mr. Miracle and completing Mr. Miracle completely off here. So we got Mr. Miracle 23 and Mr. Miracle 24. So we got those 2 here, and we're going to see the outcome of having those now later on in our collection wrap up here. We got Jughead 171, which is pretty nice. And then we got one of my favorite characters here. This is Catwoman #1 for Batman One Bad Day. So this is Catwoman #1 for that series here. And then we end up getting another Codename Knockout #0. So I think that's like three of them that I have now. I think I'm only missing issue #14 to complete Codename Knockout. So that's going to be one of the ones that I have to be on the lookout for. We got another copy of Marvel 2-in-1's 54. For those who don't know, that is first Grapplers, first Antifreeze. It's like a lot of firsts that's in this particular book here. It is a pretty sought after book. It is in somewhat decent condition. It's not one that I would be like, oh, I have to clean it up and get it graded. It would be more along the lines of having an extra. And then we got some Promethea books here. I'm trying to make sure that I got them in order. So we got Promethea #2 and Promethea #6 here. So that's another series that I'm trying to slowly get myself into as well. And then we got some more Razor books here. We got another Razor #1, which is from the Burn series here. And then we got Razor #1 from the Suffering series. And then we got Razor 21 from Volume 1. And then we got the Razor Warrior Nun Ariella one-shot. All came in. And then we also have a this is Lethal Strike. I want to say this is Lethal Strike Lethal Strike 1/2. So I think I had one of these already. A Lethal Strike 0. A Lethal Strike 0 limited edition. And then we got Lethal Strike #1, #2, and the Lethal Strike Double Impact one-shot. So we got all of those in. And we're still going because we got a few more to go here. We got some Vengeance of Vampirella that came in. We got another copy of issue #9, issue #12, and issue #17. So I almost got the full run of the Harris Comics run of Vengeance of Vampirella. And then we got from Volume 2 of the Thing series, issue #6 and issue #7. So we're getting close to finishing off Volume 2 of the Thing. And then we got some New Mutants here. And the New Mutants is going to be kind of trippy because of the simple fact that I'm trying to complete all volumes of New Mutants. But I know for a fact that getting a copy of 86, and I can't think of the other one. I got second printings of First Cable. I just don't have First Deadpool. But, you know, getting those in first print, that's just going to be like not on the top of my priority list here. But we do have New Mutants #13 from Volume 1. Then we got New Mutants #1 from Volume 2. New Mutants #6 from Volume 2. New Mutants #10 for Volume 2, and then another New Mutants #10 from Volume 4. So those are the pickups for New Mutants here. Then we got a official index to the Marvel Index to the X-Men. This is from the second series. Yeah, no, this is from, this might be from volume one of that series, because I know I have just about all of volume 2 for that, the Marvel Index to the X-Men. So this had to be volume 1. And to finish out things here, we got some X-Men issues. So we got some X-Men. I believe this is volume 5. Yeah, volume 5 issues here. So we got issue number, no, volume 4. This is volume 4. So 19, 21, and the variant of 21, which is the Raven Darko, aka Mystique cover. So that was all the new comic books that came in this week. There's more to come here, because I know for a fact that there's still some outstanding stuff here. Plus, our shipment for our new books for C2E2 should be here next week as well. So on that note, let's go ahead and get to the comic book collecting update here, which means that as of right now, the film force have had no change as of right now, because we haven't picked up any issues from 108 and above here. However, Mr. Miracle has changed. We're only down to one book, and that is issue 19 from volume 1. So once we have that, we have completed Mr. Miracle for as far as I know of, unless there's a brand new title that comes out that features him or Shiloh as the main character. With Spider-Woman, that has also changed as well. We have completed the Maddie Franklin run here, so that still means that we're missing still issue number 6 from volume 5 and issue 19 to 21 for volume 7. The Uncanny X-Men also has changed as well, because now we have everything from volume 4. We're still missing issues 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 20, 21, and 22 from volume 5. And we're still haven't gotten all our issues from the current volume 6 as of yet here, because I'm still paying off all my books from the LCS that's been pulling my books here. Wonder Woman have not seen any change this week, because of the simple fact that we're waiting for a few other books to come in, but that number is about to get ready to change, because I believe we got the missing books in the 140s as of right now. So the magic number probably going to be somewhere about 105 or 104. And this number for 146 might go all the way down to maybe like 129 and below. So be on the lookout for that change as well. And then for the regular X-Men, the ones that we just saw just a few moments ago here, we're only missing issues 2, 7, 8, 13, and 15 from volume 4. 2, 3, 7, 8, 10, 12 through 14, 16, 17, 19, and 21 through 25 from volume 5. And then the first couple, we got missing the first couple of issues, and then 4 through 25 from the most current run of X-Men. But that is the new comic book update for the week here. And that brings us to our topic for today. And the topic for today, I accidentally hit the camera. I do apologize for that here. The topic for today is kind of like one of those things that, I was talking to somebody else outside of the show here about what I was thinking about talking about as the main topic. And that's the feeling that I'm getting right now as I'm completing certain collections, and I'm up here getting to the point where it's like, there's nothing left for me out there. And when I say nothing left for me out there, it's like in this day and age, especially in this modern age of comic philosophy, as far as collecting is concerned, in this age of FOMO and everything, everything that I'm into is becoming more and more of a niche. And it's not like, something that is currently being shared amongst other people that is in the hobby as well. And it's kind of weird, because I go to all these different claim sales. I go to all these whatnot shows. I go to all these different comic book stores. I go to all these different conventions and everything. And the books and stuff that I'm looking for now are not what people are looking for as a whole anymore. And it's not just like, it's like, well, you need just to collect more Batman and Superman and Spider-Man. I was like, well, they are okay. I don't, those are not my, no, those are not my jam and whatnot. I mean, I get it. They're not my jam and everything. I'm not going to stop anybody from collecting what they love, but I feel like the stuff that I love is not getting any shine, or a lot of the vendors and stores that are still out there in existence are not trying to cater to people like me anymore. And catering to me is not the biggest thing that makes me worry. It's just the simple fact that if I'm like a loyal customer to you, and you're up here, it's like, well, bring your want list. And I bring my want list not once, not twice, several times, and you're not moving in the direction to help me to get those things on my want list, then it makes me wonder, it's like, well, are you really out there trying to help me, get to where I'm happy, or help me purchase what I want? Or are you just there just to kind of like appease me, to keep me coming through the doors just for the sake of hoping to sell me something else? And that's never a good thing, and that's never a good feeling to have that. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been beginning to see that more and more so and more so and more so over and over and over again. That I would ask for, like, hey, do you have any Wonder Woman books? Hey, do you have any Spider Woman books from the current series? Do you have any of the current run of X-Men that like Volume 5 and Volume 6 of X-Men? And you get that look of like, oh, we might have some, but deep down in their hearts, they know that they don't have any. But yet they will be quick to fast. Like, well, I got Battle Beast, I got Dork, I got all these other so-called hot titles. I was like, those titles are not, that's not my jam. That's not what I'm into. And if you don't have what I'm into, it's like, and you can't find me something equivalent, then that's like, I'm going to be like, I waste your time. Sorry about that. I wasted your time, and I'm going to move on. And that's the whole thing. It's just like, when you feel like you're moving on constantly, that people don't have what you're looking for, then maybe it's time to kind of like rethink where things are at here. Because as big as a table as our community for our hobby is, there's always room at the table for people to enjoy what you love. But the problem becomes, who is truly governing how this stuff is happening here? Because if I'm bringing my want list every time, and my want list does not have, it seems like if my want list does not have like the stereotypical books, like the ASM 300s, the New Mutants 86, the Uncanny X-Men 266. By the way, I'm not looking for 266. I got about 3 of them already. None of them are graded, but I got 3 of them. So it's like, I'm not looking for that type of stuff. The type of stuff that I'm looking for would be like the older Golden Age Wonder Woman stuff, this old sensation comics type stuff, odd stuff like Night Nurse from Marvel Comics, stuff to that magnitude that people have forgotten about, that I'm trying to rediscover, or things that other older collectors have mentioned to me to take a look into, like Modesty Blaze or Rima, or Sisterhood of Steel, stuff like that. These things are not uncommon. They're very common. It's just that more along the lines that most stores will be like, oh, I think we may have them in $1 bin. If not, then we don't have them. Or they probably blew them out at some convention where somebody who came around with $200 is like, oh, can I get those 2 long boxes? Sure, give us $200, and they walked off with it, never to be never be seen again. I mean, that stuff happens here. But if I become a loyal customer of yours, and I tell you, hey, I'm looking for, X-Men Volume 5 number 4, and I come to you, 1 month, you didn't do it. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. By the time you get to that 6th month, and it's like still no Uncanny X-Men number 4, it's like, at that point, it's like I kind of get to the point where it's like, okay, what's the whole purpose? It's like, you're not trying to help me gain to where, gain to my collection where I can feel like it's complete. You're not helping me enjoy my love of comics at that point. And I'm not saying, blame store owners or anything to that magnitude. I'm just looking at the landscape of the hobby. If the landscape of the hobby is getting more and more towards catering more towards those people who may have that FOMO, who are pretty much on the collectors end, who are buying into the hype of FOMO for a lot of these books, that especially in the modern age, the books that are getting all this hype, where entry point, like Dork #1, entry point for that on the day that it's released, not the day after or a week after, the day that it get put on the shelves, it's not cover price is $40. That's a problem. It seems like things are being more catered to those people who see the books as collectibles now, as opposed to those who are collecting as far as story, who are reading the books, or are actually seeing, something else other than monetary value of the books here. And then if we, get to the point where it's like, okay, our love is becoming more and more niche, then do we splinter the overall group again? Do we splinter the community again? Because now, if we pull back, and trust me, there's not enough comic books out there in this modern age that I buy as of this point. I still get my Wonder Womans, both, the guy that I can't stand who's writing it, Tom King version of Wonder Woman. I still get my Absolute. I still get a few other books, but I used to be like getting 6, 7, 8 titles a month. Now I'm pretty much down to like 4. It's like there's a dynamic change in my buying habit because of the way that they're treating these things now. I mean, it's like, yeah, the 2 Wonder Woman books, G.I. Joe, and I forgot what the other one was. But, that's pretty much it. And then anything else that comes out, like, for example, I was just told that Alias just came out, and the comic book store that I get my books from Arkansas has started for me Alias. So now I got Alias on my list. So that means I go up to 5 titles now. But it's not too many people that understand my taste in comics that automatically knows, like, oh, we know that you might like this. We thought about you. And then they tell me, it's like, hey, we pulled this for you, this, that, and the other. I know that you like Jessica Jones, this, that, and the other. Is it okay? I would like, yeah, go ahead and do it. That is the type of community that I came from. Not this one over here that says like, oh yeah, there's this popular Wonder Woman cover that's coming out on X, Y, and Z book. And I'm up there like, well, I don't collect X, Y, and Z. I never was a cover collector. I don't excuse me. I don't care if said artist is drawing it. I want to read good stories in a series. Can you tell me about the series? Well, I don't know too much about the series. I just know that the cover is banging. You're not selling me a book at that point. You're trying to sell me art. I could go ahead and pass. And the reason I go ahead and pass, because you already told me who the artist is. 9 times out of 10, I could bump into him at a show and whatnot, and get a sketch or get an actual commission directly from them that was equal or better than what's on that cover. I mean, it kind of like it is what it is. But as I'm getting to the point where I'm completing a lot of the different title runs that I want, and trying to maintain those that are ongoing, such as like the X-Men and Wonder Woman and a couple other things here. As I continue on doing that, I'm finding less and less enjoyment with the chase and the hunt now, because of the simple fact that it always feels like it's a bait and switch now. Not the we had it, but you might want to check over here, or I have a source over here, you might want to go and check over there, and then you find out, oh, they got Love and Rockets, they got all these other books that may have been on my radar in the past that I might want to revisit now. modern comic collecting now does not have that as much anymore. We have, like I said on a different podcast, one of my friends on a podcast was talking about the difference between the culture of manga versus American comics and everything to that magnitude. And one of the things that I made mention here was nowadays collectors are treating comics like a poor man's art collection. People are not necessarily reading the story contained inside of these books. They see a nice cover or a nice variant cover. They're buying that book, and they're buying that book to keep it raw because they like the display that's out there on the book. Not to say that everybody is doing this, but we got a good chunk of people that are doing that. We still got a lot of people that still reading the story inside of said books here that are true fans of the characters. And I'm using the word true loosely. So don't get offended out there. I'm not saying that those who cover collect are not true fans. I'm just saying more so that there's a major difference between those two, if I could say, cross section of fandom. And the thing about it is those who still read the books, they're the ones that still have the problems where we're not being catered to. We're not getting the same type of quality story that goes along with that big old beautiful cover that comes with it. And we're paying a premium for those big beautiful covers on top of that. So it's like one of those catch-22 situations in the very, in the very thick of all of what was happening in the collecting atmosphere as of right now. Not to say that we also put extra pressure about the grading. If it's not a 9.8, we don't want it type stuff. You got people that are that way too. So you got all of these different dynamics that goes into this here. But when it comes to your bread and butter parts of your collection, and you're getting to the point where it's like you're done. And when I say done, I talk about like how it is with Mr. Miracle. I'm one issue away from having from that volume one, issue number one, to everything else that came out, minus other stories that's in other titles. It's like I just only following the main title of Mr. Miracle. I pretty much have everything for that. Almost got it done for Spider-Woman, whether it be Jessica Drew, Maddie Franklin, or Julia Carpenter. That's almost done. I almost got my X-Men and Wonder Woman back to where it's supposed to be. Well, Wonder Woman is always there. Have not stopped collecting Wonder Woman from where I was at from volume one to now. So that has never been a true problem. But my X-Men, I have actually literally stopped collecting because of the way that they was treating the title. Now I'm going back because it's like, I've been away for that long, and I had to go back and get, all these other issues that I've been missing piecemeal. But now that's about to be back to where it's supposed to be from 1963 to now, minus a lot of the annuals. I don't have every last annual. I was never a big annual collector in the first place. But saying all that to say, once I have done that, now I have all these odds and ends titles that keeps me occupied. That it's becoming quite obvious now that they're becoming harder and harder to collect because people don't talk about them anymore. It's not in the forefront. It's like nobody talks about, the little known, gems such as like Sisterhood of Steel that came out for Epic, or Friday Foster. Like, nobody talks about, Rima, or some of the stuff that came out before they were made big by one of the major publishers like Phantom Lady. Nobody's talking about how hard it is to go and get those Golden Age Phantom Ladies anymore. It's one of those things that, I kind of wish the community was a little bit better in promoting what they love and some of the things that they love and some of the sources that they use to go and grab what they love. And now I'm beginning to feel how other people, like other people back in the day when they were up here, saying the same things like, well, I used to collect the Crow. It's so hard to get the Crow. Or I collected, this indie title, and it's so hard to get this indie title because I go into a store and nobody knows about it, nobody had heard about it. I'm seeing that happening again now. And since I'm going through that or about to get ready to go through it, I now begin to understand what it was like for them. As much as I used to kid, there was like, no, everything is okay. You know, somebody got it. It's like, you might want to check here. You might want to check eBay. At least I gave them a point of reference of where to maybe check and probably help them out as far as like, if I see it in a different store, it's like, hey, go over here, check this store out. But in this day and age, I really feel that people are being too reliant on eBay for pricing, eBay for trying to get books that they don't that they don't have. When there's all these different beautiful stores that may have what they're looking for, but because of the social aspect of things here, and granted, I have seen a whole bunch of rants about how comic book stores are not friendly enough here. It's like I go up in there, it almost seems like it's confrontational. If I ask for a book that they think is not worthy or fun, they give you that stink eye and be like, "Oh, you're one of those types." It's like, yeah, that type of stuff does happen. But that's still about going back down to why are the communities this way? I don't understand that aspect as far as the gatekeeping of what you collect and how you collect it and everything like that. Everybody's not going to be into Spider-Man. Everybody don't want to have a Amazing Spider-Man 300. You know, I'm one of the few people that still want to get a giant size X-Men 1, but I'm not going to pay $15,000 for it. That's just me. That to me is like, that's just way too much money to get one book. I would pay that much money for maybe like a Wonder Woman #1 from the 1940s, because I know that's definitely rarer than a giant size X-Men 1. Not the same at all, but I understand. But the thing about it is that where we're going with this is about, how people want to gatekeep you based upon what you collect. And I feel that way a lot of times when I bring stuff, warrantless type stuff, because it's up here like, well, you brought that to me, you brought that list, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. It's like, but I still need it. I don't come to you every week asking you that. It's like, 3 weeks ago, I asked you for, maybe like a Film Force 1. 2 months go by, 3 months go by, I might ask about it again. Because in those 2 or 3 months, you might be, if you're actually actively looking, you might come across it. But if you're not, that just tells me about your character, about it's like, oh, we get comic books in all the time. It's like, if you get comic books all the time and you consider me one of your customers, how come you're not looking for stuff that I might like? I mean, granted, some people just going to, some things that I kind of consider that's going to be common, it's going to be common. It's like, everybody got X-Men books, everybody got Fantastic Four books, everybody got Spider-Man books, everybody got Superman, everybody got Batman. Oh God, everybody got Batman. But anyway, but there's going to be some common books. Not everybody come in with the unique stuff or the more niche stuff. And I would throw, titles like, Swamp Thing, Man Thing into the more niche type stuff, because not everybody is into that type of stuff. Those who are into, into like Our Armies at War, or the war titles, or the horror books, those are niche. They're not what I consider common books. Those are a little bit more acceptable. Those who are into the EC horror, they're very niche, but they are more accepted. Tell them, it's like, hey, I'm into women-led titles. Do you happen to have Phantom Lady? They would look at you crazy. They're niche. But if I came up in there and asked them for something like what was the name? Vamp Blade and Vampy and all of these other TNA books, They'd be like, "Oh, you're into TNA stuff." It's like, no, I'm not really into TNA stuff, but those are more of the female-led titles that they might have access to. Zombie Tramp was another one. It's like, to me, those are just TNA books. Have somewhat of a, if I could say, quirky story to them, but that's just not my cup of tea here. If I went out there and asked, it's like, "Hey, do you have Modesty Blades?" They would be like, "What's that?" It is what it is. It does get me kind of down. It doesn't depress me, but it does get me down, because the reason why it gets me down is not because they don't have it. It's just the simple fact that it's like, oh, okay, if you don't have it, then what? I asked them for what things that you might have that might be in my wheelhouse, and they go silent because they have no idea. I named titles that I'm into, and they go silent. It's like, okay, it was like, what's the type of stuff you're into? How about Challenges of the Unknown? Crickets. Doom Patrol? Crickets. Wonder Woman? Crickets. She-Hulk? It's like, well, this is kind of She-Hulk like. It's like, but yeah, that's more TNA type stuff. It's more along the lines. It's like, if somebody came to me and says like, "Hey, Joe, could you?" Let me see what type. Oh, there he is. We got Green Lantern. Who? Yeah, exactly. Who? It's just so maddening at that point, because you call yourself a comic book fan or a comic book store, but it's almost like you only cater to people like that reads like yourself. And it's like one of the things that people always hate is, like I told them, I have my own set litmus test. There's 3 titles that I normally bring up when I go into a brand new comic book store or work or patronize a brand new vendor. And I randomize it. I randomize it because of the simple fact that it tells me what type of level of store that you have here. I always ask for Wonder Woman, depending on the type of store. Usually, if I ask for Wonder Woman, they have very few, or they have the most recent stuff, and very little of it. I ask for Challengers of the Unknown. A lot of times they haven't heard of it. And now, since I get close to completing Mr. Miracle, he's about to get taken off the list, so I'm probably going to have to replace it with something else in the series here. Because I try not to use things like Film Force, because that came from like an independent publisher, AC Comics here. But I try to keep things to books that are rather recognizable, but not overly popular, that they would be like, "Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch of them," just to get an idea of how deep they would go down that rabbit hole here. Actually, it's not. Challenges of the Unknown is not that obscure. Mr. Miracle is not. Other things that I would ask for, that is like it's mostly like DC titles is what I usually ask for than Marvel. Marvel is more common. Because if I asked it, was like, "Hey, what Spider Woman books you got, or what Ultimate Spider-Man books that you have, or what niche little X-Men side title that they got," they know what I'm talking about. But when it comes to DC, they just don't know. They just don't have a clue. I wouldn't say they're not super obscure, because that's the thing here. And that's the other thing that I put out there too. There's certain stores that cater solely to Marvel, and there's other stores that solely cater to DC. So it's a lot of different variables that go into that litmus test. See, but then again, those books are not on your radar, period. And that's the thing. That's the thing, you know, those books are not on your radar. And if it's not on your radar, it's going to be obscure to you. But when you come out and look at the publishing landscape of it and when stuff was published and how often it was published, you know, Mr. Miracle had at least, between all the side titles and everything, at least 5 different volumes. Challenges of the Unknown had at least 4 different volumes. You know, I could go things such as like the Demon. Demon has at least 3 different volumes. But these are books that, you know, Inferior 5 had at least 3 different volumes. But like I said, all of these are DC books. But if they're not on your radar, it will be very obscure. Just like how people will bring up like all these different horror titles from DC, like Witching Hour. That was obscure to me, but I don't follow horror. But when I do my research, it's like, oh, Witching Hour was a very common book. You know, Strange Adventures, very common book. You know, House of Mystery, very common book. But because I'm not into horror or I'm not into like war books or stuff like that, they are obscure. So it's kind of like when you deal with the overall comic book store and who owns the comic book store, these are titles that they should know about per se. Now, the average reader, not so much. And that's because they might not be in their wheelhouse. But certain things like Green Lantern, Superman, Batman, you know, Spider-Man, Captain America, those are standards. Those are going to be standard bearers. They're going to have those books, regardless. Yeah, true about certain shops appeal more to Marvel and DC. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, it's like I'm not coming up with like a very unfair litmus test. It is a very fair litmus test. I'm not asking them for anything like so obscure and unique that it was like an impossibility to get to for them to get. These are kind of like general books depending on what era of comic that you pretty much delve into for that store. It's like a brand new store. I never would ask for books that would be older than Bronze Age, because if it's a brand new store, most likely they're not going to have a big back catalog of comic books. But if you've been established like a Graham Crackers Comics, I would ask them for just about anything in the world just to see if they're good. But it is what it is. Exactly. Or if you remember Machine Man, if you're a Marvel fan, stuff like Machine Man. Machine Man, I will put on that list. Marvel Age, I will put on that list. You know, stuff to that man too. That's Stilt Man Comics. Yep. Where's Moses? I know. Yep. Exactly. I mean, but you know, I get the whole argument about obscure. Obscure is like, you know, Machine Man. Where's the ROM? Where's the ROM at? Where's the Machine Man at? Some might even go like, where's Luke Cage at? And be like, huh? Who? You know, it is what it is. And joking about still, man, yeah, nobody cares. And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's only as obscure as the person who reads it. If nobody really cares or reads it, it's like it's going to be obscure to the greater majority of people. However, for a comic book store owner, it should not be something that you will use to alienate a possible customer. And that's the bad thing about it. Yep, ROM Space Knight. Yep, I brought up ROM. Yep. Yeah, but people don't have his book out there like that. You know, I'm trying to think. You know, the last Luke Cage Power Man book that I remember I think was like the last one was like 2010 or 2012. but there's not. I don't think they're doing much with him now. Just like now, if you if we come into a comic book store now, it's like, where's the Wonder Man comic book at? There has been several volumes of Wonder Man. I bet you a lot of stores do not have Wonder Man books like that. Yeah, he's almost a household name now, but that doesn't mean much. He's like, he rarely has an ongoing series. So, it's like, yeah, we got the Wonder Man TV series out there, but there's no big outcry like, where the Wonder Man comics at? And then you go up into certain comic stores, they're going to look at you funny talking about where the Wonder Man comics at. Yeah, Wonder Man was never popular in comic book format, but people are liking the TV series from what I can see here. I mean, it's like some characters do break out and they get their series like Loki, and people like the Loki books and stuff like that. You're not going to get too much. But again, we're mentioning a lot of Marvel characters. And that's the thing here, And that's the whole thing. It's like, think about it. It's like, if you truly think about it, it's like somebody comes across and be like, hey, I like the TV series, this, that, and the other. Where the Wonder Man comics at? You go into a store and some stores go to look at you kind of funny, like, why do you like that obscure character? Because again, obscure is only as obscure as the people who only reads it. It is what it is. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there were several books that, and it's like as late as like what, 2022. There were still a few, Loki, makes his appearance now and then and everything, but it just, it is what it is here. And with I would say ever since the pandemic, with the rise of a lot of more independent publishers coming out there with brand new titles, like, I'm up here, it's like I'm hearing about a whole bunch of hype about Dork #1 and how people are flocking to that. And I was like, to me, that's a lot of FOMO hype, because nobody knows what, those who are buying the book because of FOMO hype cannot tell me what the book is about. And those who are actually reading the book, they tell me bits and pieces of the book. I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And I was like, I might check it out until I see the starting price of just getting that #1, which has not been out for at least 2 months as of yet. It's like $40. I was like, no, I'm not going to pay $40 for issue #1 first print. Issue #1 second print is like $16. And I'll be like, I'm not paying that type of money for a issue #1. You pricing people out because of this FOMO. Yeah, speaking of indie IP, I was like, I'm about to go fight ninjas in the sewers to save the world. Oh wow, he's making jokes, folks. Green Lantern is making some serious jokes here, but it's a lot of good independent titles that are coming out right now. But I don't think they get the fair shake, mainly because of the FOMO that is surrounded by it. And everybody's looking at, oh, this might be the next hot thing, because of the simple fact that it got picked up for an option, or it might be picked up for a movie. And up here, it's like, that doesn't mean that the story is good. That doesn't mean that the story is really worth the time and effort to be printed. Yeah, totally agree with the FOMO. Yep. I was like, and I will scream my antics. Oh my goodness. But that's kind of like the thing. The reason why I've been feeling the way that I've been feeling as of late, when it comes to collecting comics in this day and age here. And as I'm getting closer and closer to completing like certain runs and volumes of runs, that's kind of like the thing here. Stream my antics. Yep. But that's the whole thing. I mean, that's the whole thing in a nutshell. It's like, it's not too many people that have like, well, if I really wanted to get the volume 1 and volume 2 and volume 3 annuals, I can. But not too many people will have every last Uncanny X-Men book through volume 4 without missing an issue. I'm about to get ready to do it for all 6 volumes. That's not an easy feat to do. And I see all these people paying all of this higher money just to complete volume 1, let alone trying to find other stuff that's in volume 2, volume 3, and volume 4, which is like, to me, is going by the wayside because those books have smaller print runs than the older stuff. But yet you got to spend up all your money on the older stuff and not really track down the newer stuff first. It is. X-Men. All right, Terrence Howard, X-Men. To me, my X-Men. But yeah, that's the key thing here. It's just like, having those complete long runs here. Like, it's like I'll know other collectors that have done it for Fantastic Four. That's not an easy feat to do. I have seen people do it for Thor. I have seen people do it for Captain America. And Captain America is a nightmare because that's over 8 volumes. Over 8 to 9. I think it's like either 8 or no. No, it's 10 volumes. It's 10 volumes of Captain America now. That's a hard thing to do. If you could go all the way back to timely to Captain America Comics #1 to present, that's a hard thing to do. And I'm up here, in the loony bin trying to do this with Wonder Woman from like the 1940s #1 to now. And if these 2 issues come from Metropolis Comics over the next week, I'll be somewhere close to having from like volume one issue like 130 all the way to the present. Missing, if you caught it from the very beginning, only missing maybe like 107 issues in between. And when I say 107 issues in between, I'm talking about from volume 1, from issue #1 to like 130 something. There's 107 issues that are missing in between there. That's a lot of books. It's a lot of overhead to take care of too. It's not something that you could keep out of house. It does get stored. I do pull certain books that do get graded and they're stored in a different location because of the simple fact that the storage insurance does not cover the full value of it. So I have to keep those things that are more valuable at a different location than the rest of the books here. Yeah, y'all listen to Mr. McPhee. He knows what's good for you. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I'm not trying to get people to collect the way that I collect. It's like, no, collect what you love what you collect. Get around people like myself that help you collect what you love and will support you in collecting what you love or liking what you love. But stay away from people that tease you about what you love and kid you and everything that is not willing to support you. Those are the type of people that you just, when the chips are down, they'll be the first one to turn on you as far as, no, you need to give that up. You need to give that up and be like normal people. It's like, yeah, normal people read comics just like normal people got regular jobs and pay bills and pay taxes and everything else. It is what it is. And also this guy here says the same thing. No. For those who don't know the whole thing about it's like I know Green Lantern 99 personally, and I have seen people who have come to him half-baked dealing with comics and video games and stuff to that magnitude and be ready to tell him, no, that's not like it. It's not like that. It's not like that. And he would be like, no, look at the business aspect of it. Look at it from the standpoint of what people may love as opposed to what you like. And he'd be straight up and honest with him. So, he's up here keeping me company today on the chat here, but he's nodding his head. It's like, yeah, he understands where I'm coming from. He probably understands how I'm feeling now because of the simple fact that, a lot of these stores, these online claim sales, these online some of these comic stores online and everything. It's just like, you know, they're like, oh man, I got all these banger books here, and every last one of them would be like Spider-Man, Batman. You might get a few Thors here and there, you might get a few Captain Americas here and there, but it's like Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man. And then when you get into like the more independent stuff, it's Something's Killing the Children, Saga. It's like the same books. And then you're up here like, well, do you have to have this? What is that? Like, what is that? Or, I had one about 3 months ago and I got rid of it and it sold pretty cheap, but no, I don't have any more. You know, those type of responses are never encouraging. And that's one of the reasons why, you know, as I get to the point where I complete a lot of these runs, I'm up here. It's like, I have to come to the, if I could say, come to the, not even like come to Jesus, it's more like come to the realization that maybe my collecting days are about to be numbered. And that's just meaning that outside of the handful of books I do get, there's not going to be much out there. There's Aaron. FOMO. FOMO. Yeah, Joe. It's like Joe lives FOMO. No, I don't. I don't live FOMO. I don't really live FOMO, Aaron. But I'm glad that you're out here. But it's just like one of those things that I'm just seeing that in this modern era of comic book collecting, that is really driving the force here. The culture is now more towards every last comic that comes out, regardless of cover, is a collectible. And when people take up that type of mentality here, they are going to be willing to pay $40 for issue number 1 first print on the day of its release. And that was killing me right now with a lot of these books now. It's like, how in the world that the book hasn't even hit the stands or the day that it hits the stand, instead of that $4.99, $5.99 cover price that's on that book is immediately jumped up to $20 or $40 just because of the FOMO, just because of the hype machine behind it. That boggles my mind here. And what's weird is that a lot of these titles are more independent titles. And I was like, I'm hearing this from other people who vlog on YouTube. And then I go out to places like Whatnot, and it's like, sure as day, it's like the same day. It's like, okay, New Comic Book Day. It's like, yeah, we got our copies of this, that, and the other. We're going to start it at $50. It's like, that book just came out today. How is it a $50? How is that book is a $50 book and it's not a ratio? We're talking about A covers, not even ratios as of yet. That A cover was like, we got it for $50 because of FOMO. It boggles my mind. But at the same time, I come in, it's like, well, I'm not into that, and I'm not really into this. Do you happen to have, Challengers of the Unknown? I'm looking for like issue number 20 from volume 1. And then you get that blank, deers in headlight, blink, blink, like what's this book type deal. It's just not a good sign here. And I'm not saying that we should overturn tables or anything to that magnitude. But what I'm really saying is that we shouldn't make people feel that what they love and collect is less than what is hot in the streets as of right now, as the kids say. What's good in the streets is not. It should not always be, should not always be the sole thing that everybody should think about here, because comic books is so vast, and it depends on which age of comics that you talk about here. In modern age, as of right now, it's more of a collector's, if I could say, a collector's Wild West as of right now. You know, what some people may sleep on may be the next big thing, and then those things that are being hyped up at the next big thing, the bubble burst, and the stores and the people who bought into it lose out on a lot of money. You just don't know. And to be quite honest, that's one of the reasons why I think a lot of people are moving back to bronze and copper age books now, more so than anything else, just to get back into collecting or to start people in collecting than what is coming out on the stands today. Because what's coming out on the stands today is just too pricey. For the price of what you pay for a brand new book off the comic book rack at a comic book store, you could probably go to a dollar bin or a dollar box at said store with bronze and copper age books and get at least 3 times as much of value than what you got on the rack here. But that's kind of like the thing. Also, another thing is, like I said before, nobody's talking about the books anymore. And when I say talking about, I'm a fan of Wonder Woman. This is what I like about this issue. Hey, if you like this type of stuff, maybe you should try it. Nobody's really talking much about stories anymore. And that's kind of like the thing that makes me cringe a lot more, because some of the books that are pulling that type of money off the rack, the $40 and $50 off the rack, when I start asking people what the book is about, nobody cares. And those that had actually read it, they start telling me about it, but they tell me about it in such a way where it's like, that's not in my wheelhouse, or, oh, that's interesting. I might take a look into it. Where can I find one? It's like, oh, you can go over here, but it's going to cost you about $60. It's like, yeah, I'll catch you later on that, because I'm not going to spend $60 for that book. It just is what it is. But saying all that to say, that is the rant for this week here. Like I said, unless you guys got more stuff that you want to talk about here, I told you it was going to be a short show. It's probably going to last about an hour. And it's about like an hour, 7 minutes here. So unless you guys got more things that you want to talk about here, I got some other stuff that I need to take care of here. I got things to prepare. We're 2 weeks away. We're 2 weeks away from C2E2, people, which means that Legends of the Giant Slayer #1 comes out. It comes out on, well, actually, I am officially releasing it. I am officially releasing it on the website. We will have it at C2E2 that first day on that Friday. Also, keep your calendars marked for March 27th. We will have it live on our website, where you can buy issues directly there, both digitally and physically. We will have copies at C2E2 with us. And it will be your first opportunity there, if you go to C2E2, to get it signed and verified by us. Meaning that, yeah, I will be signing and doing all of this stuff for free. I don't charge for signatures and stuff to that magnitude. To me, counterproductive. And besides, secondary market to me is like, it's one of those eat or be eaten type markets anyway. If somebody wants to pay the markup for my signature, so be it, but I'm not going to charge you. If you're a fan of my work, I'm not going to charge you for it. Why? It is like, it just doesn't make any sense here. But I get with some of the big names, is like, oh, it's like I sign this stuff, and then you go out there and make it like, it's like you get my book from me, and I sign it for free, and then you make $500 for it. It's like, yeah, it's $500, but you got paid for doing that book. A signature is not going to really do too much for you. And $500 is not going to do much for you anyway. It would be nice to have, but it's not going to do much for you in the bigger scheme of things here. But I get it. I understand why. I've been in the trenches long enough to understand why certain artists and writers do charge for their signature. But to me, it's just not the best thing to do for fans here. And be looking out for the role-playing game. That's about to happen. That's about to get ready to happen. Like I stated before, we got our ISBN numbers. We're about to get ready to get the whole book finalized, edited. The only thing that we have left is to find a printer before we could get our test copies ready in hand before we go live. So that will be, be looking out for that here. So yes, the AWF Primetime Saturday Night Role Playing Game will happen soon, very soon here. So unless there's no more comments, it looks like there's no more comments. I'm going to bid you guys adieu here. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, especially those on the East Coast, because we're ending early here. You got about 40 extra minutes, 50 extra minutes here before you are into your Sunday. For everybody else, enjoy the rest of your Saturday evening, and we're out. So thank you for watching. If you watch it on the replay, feel free to comment. If you think that I said something inappropriate or you like what I was saying here, let me know. I do try to respond back to comments and everything. So until next week, live life, grow, and be well, and we're out. Bye-bye.